Boxing King Media in association with Boxer. Delighted to be joined by Amer Abdallah from Skill Challenge. Amer, looks like you're sharing the same weather for once as the UK.
I'm at a family reunion. Assalamu alaikum, first of all. I'm at a family reunion here up in California in some kind of wilderness thing. I'm glad I've got Wi-Fi to be able to hop on here with you.
Lucky man in Cali. I know you're busy, so we're going to jump straight into the stuff. Amer, obviously last week we was at the signing of USYK, which shocked everyone. So we obviously spoke about it at the event. I just want to ask, now that it's happened, what kind of feedback have you had from other promoters? I'm assuming you shocked everyone because, like I told you on the day, we were all expecting Deontay Wilder.
Look, it was massive. I mean, we've not just from promoters and managers and friends in the sport, but I think from fans all around the world, everybody was very shocked. When you have a fighter that's a unified heavyweight champion of the world, that's been with a promoter like K2 and Alex, has a long time manager as Aegis, and to be able to bring on another promoter, I think that's very unique in the sport. It's unique in that a fighter usually at that level doesn't need another promoter to come in and piggyback off of his accomplishments at that point. But I think that alludes to, and it really sheds a lot of light on, where USYK is at this stage of his career and how much faith he has in what Prince Khalid and Skill Challenge Promotions can do for him in his career and help elevate from where he is already, which is an elite champion. But to bring on Prince Khalid and Skill Challenge Promotions, I think that shows the kind of confidence that they have in Prince Khalid's vision, his mission of building boxing and what it means for USYK, for the sport, for the heavyweight division, and boxing in whole.
Exciting times ahead. I know there was when I turned up there, you made everyone sign NDAs, and we weren't allowed to say anything. But I know in error, Badou Jack ended up posting a picture of himself and USYK. So just tell us about that situation, because it was quite funny. And obviously, Badou said on the day he had no idea that he wasn't allowed to say anything.
No, and Badou and I, this is the thing with Badou, I even go back from a personal perspective. It's very difficult for me to keep everything objective with Badou because of my relationship with him, even though, in different circles I have to, because that's how the business of the sport is. And mind you, I don't shy away from any question, anything, and like I told you from the beginning of this interview, ask whatever you want to ask. There's nothing that's off limits here. So when Badou first posted it, and I told him, I said, Badou, okay, I didn't say it directly to him. I said it to everybody. You were sitting there, everybody was sitting there. I said, we don't want any of this stuff getting away. The Badou probably didn't hear it. And mind you, I've entrusted Badou with secrets that are much bigger than this, that has never been leaked. And he was sitting with Prince Khalid at the time. He didn't hear me say it. He posted it. It is what it is. It's all fine. This is one extra thing that I can always hang over his head and beat him up over, which I need all the ammunition I can have. But he's a very trustworthy guy, and I've confided in him with personal secrets, business secrets that has never been leaked. He just didn't know.
Yeah, I thought we'd just get that out there because people would be wondering. Badou put it up, then he deleted it, but that's what was going on behind the scenes.
Because I picked up the phone and yelled at him. I said, "Are you crazy? You're the only guy that's posting." He's like, well, "I didn't know." So no, he took it down. He felt awful about it also.
No, he did.
But,
he did. To be fair to him, it was clearly a genuine mistake. And we'll stick with when I interviewed him in Saudi, I asked him about a potential Canelo fight because I was thinking about opponents, and Canelo to me stuck out. And then I spoke to Eddie Hearn last week and I suggested it to him. And he, to my surprise, said that he actually mentioned that fight, Canelo versus Badou Jack versus to Prince Khalid. So I just want to know, is there any developments on that? Because he's suggesting that he's open to
that. Who's suggesting that they're open to it?
Eddie Hearn suggested that he had spoken to Prince Khalid about the fight, and then it was put on Twitter, and it ended up having like 1 million interactions of people talking about Canelo versus Badou Jack. So the fans are intrigued.
And I'm sure that there was a lot of. I wasn't in the meeting when Eddie came to the kingdom and he met with Prince Khalid. They have a long time relationship and friendship, and there's a lot of different circles that they're in, that they work with together in making certain fights happen. And Prince Khalid, was well aware of the Canelo Badou fight because it was a fight that we had talked about before, and I'm sure that it was discussed with Eddie. I have been dealing directly with Canelo's team and asking, what the protocols were. They want to make sure that they handle, the conversations with them directly. And, we're all working together here. There's no, somebody flexing of I'm in charge, you're in charge. Skill Challenge Promotions is the lead here. We're talking to Canelo directly. Of course, we promote and we manage, we oversee Badou. And there is the intention to have the fight. I believe out of the 5 or 6, maybe a little bit more terms that are there, I think we're agreed on the majority of them. But the one thing is, Canelo is a living legend. He is an icon in the sport. He's the face of boxing, arguably the face of boxing. And he wants to jump up to cruiserweight. And, I think the only thing that's sticking right now is where that weight is, because the financial terms are agreed upon, the date is agreed upon, everything is there. It's just that the weight is where the sticking point is. But if you want to come up to cruiserweight, then you have to fight at cruiserweight. And I think that's where the hesitation is. And I get it. Canelo's a super middleweight. And Badou was a super middleweight. So you can't ask a guy that walks around at 205, 210, fights at 200 to come in at super middleweight or light heavyweight or slightly above that. If you want to fight at cruiserweight,
would he still be allowed to challenge for the cruiserweight title if Badou's made to come down, say, at light heavyweight or whatever?
I believe that the rules of the WBC, and again, we have to clarify this with Mauricio and see, what the rules of the WBC are. Maybe they say, no, you have to fight at cruiserweight to fight for that title. But if you are looking to fight for a cruiserweight title, then, you can't have a guy suck 30 pounds, 40 pounds to come down so you could fight for a title at a different weight class. And look, Canelo's team is very confident. They know what they're doing. And, we have utmost admiration for them. And they're definitely in their right to ask for whatever they want for their fighters' benefit. We have to also look at our fighters' benefit and, what it means for boxing in the whole. And, there's options for both guys. So maybe the fight gets made. Maybe the fight doesn't get made. I would, of course, love for that fight to be made for everybody's interest. And, we have 90% of the terms agreed to. It's just the remaining, 1 or 2 items. And I think the weight is going to be the issue here.
Could a deal also include, because I believe, to my knowledge, Canelo may be a free agent as well. Could he end up joining this star cast of the skill challenge fighters? Would you be interested?
I mean, everything is open. Everything is there. And I feel we're working with a neighboring country here in the region as well, and we're doing a full promotion together. And we're very interested in signing a multi-fight deal with Canelo. But we're going to go through the right protocols and the right procedures to make sure that everybody's on the line, same page. And could that happen? Of course, it could happen. It just depends on what we want it to happen. The kind of the direction that we want to take, what Prince Khalid wants to do, and then we move forward and take the step.
When is the next announcement for the next signing? Because I know you've hinted it. Have you got a date or anything planned?
It'll be soon.
June.
It'll be soon. Soon.
Okay. Okay, cool. And then just moving on, Frank Warren did some interviews last week. I don't know if you watched them, but he threw Derek Chisora under the bus, and he said that Derek has told him that there's 150 million pound on the table to fight for Usyk and Fury. I spoke to Derek about this a couple of days ago, and in his words, he said Frank Warren was chatting shit, and it was a private conversation. So just your reaction to that back and forward.
There has been no offer made. There has not been any financial offer made. There has not been. Look at the fights, and the fight that we're looking at and we're interested in. Prince Khalid wants to do is in December. There's still a lot of time. There's still a lot of time before that fight can happen. Usyk's got a mandatory. AJ, Wilder, Fury all want to be active by then. So there's still, we can't put an offer yet because we don't know yet. Based on the current market value, meaning their records intact and how in demand this fight is, that would be great to have happen. But we're not there yet. So any number that's out there is not true. It's baseless. Any kind of offer that's been suggested that's there is not true. It's baseless. There's nothing there that has any kind of facts. The answer is no. We have not made an offer. Those numbers are certainly not true. They would not be true. And there has not been anything done.
Eddie Hearn confirmed that you made an offer for Anthony Joshua versus Wilder. That offer's officially gone in. What's the developments? Have you had any feedback from Eddie Hearn? Have they accepted it, or are you waiting?
Again, boo, there has not been any offer made. Is there interest in the fight? Yes. But has there been an official offer made? The answer is no. And if there is, it'll come from Skill Challenge directly.
Okay, cool. There's one concept, and a lot of people in the media are saying that, you know, because of the lure of money that you guys are offering for these mega fights, it's kind of stalling the heavyweight division. Do you feel that's the case, or is it just down to the fighters and you're just doing your thing and they're willing to wait out for it? Because there's a lot of people are hitting back at this.
Look, boxing is a very fragmented sport. You have the biggest fights and the best fights that can't be made because of network obligations, because of promoters clashing, managers clashing, sanctioning bodies, and whatnot. What Skill Challenge is doing is not coming in and competing with anybody. We're unifying everybody. We're unifying the sport, unifying the promoters, bringing all the best fights together under one umbrella. And that happens to be the Skill Challenge umbrella. We have the resources, we have the know-how, how to do it. We have the intentions to do it. We want to have the biggest fights and the best fights happening. And sometimes that comes at a cost. Prince Khalid is not afraid to put those resources in place. He has a great backing by the Ministry of Sport, by, you know, the whole kingdom, by the whole region, to be able to put on these fights. So if it comes at a cost to be able to do these, that's the cost of putting on these fights. That's what the fans want. That's what the fighters want. That's what the promoters want. Everybody is making out. I don't understand how that becomes a negative thing to have happen. It's where everybody wants it to be.
Cool. I know you said to me I can ask you anything, Amer, so I'm going to go in and ask you some stuff about Daniel Kinahan. We've seen articles in the last week resurface about Daniel's links potentially still in boxing, and Boxing News put an article out and it said, I quote, several insiders confirm there's an ongoing presence. So if I just ask you like straight up, you know, are Skills Challenge and Daniel Kinahan working together?
It's crazy to me. It's crazy to me to see these kinds of defamatory, slanderous, untrue, baseless, quotes come out to say what insiders? Tell me what the insiders are. Did you hear it from Prince Khalid? Did you hear it from me? Did you hear it from anybody from the team? The answer is absolutely not. It's easy to say, oh, Daniel's involved because of past dealings that fighters have had, that we've had, that everybody in boxing has had. Let's make it very clear. And I don't shy away from this. I don't know why people shy away from it. Everybody was dealing with this guy, or the majority of the promoters were dealing with him. Fighters were signed to him. There was a bunch of involvement there. So people say, oh, I never had anything to deal with it. Why lie about it? Why come forward and lie? So to answer the question, absolutely not does he have anything to do with the sport. And I would go as far as bringing legal sanctions, legal action towards anybody that affiliates Daniel Kinahan with Skill Challenge Promotions, because Prince Khalid does everything with the highest level of integrity, the cleanest way possible, and he takes such pride in making sure that nothing that it's unblemished, the promotion. And he made sure, and I had an open conversation about that. There is zero affiliation, there is zero connection, and that is absolutely baseless. They're utmost lies of anybody saying that. Let's go back. Daniel Kinahan, when we first came to Dubai, he was on the scene. He connected us to a lot of people, as he did with a lot of promoters. When I say we, I mean Badou and myself, when we first came there. He had never asked for anything financially. There had never been any financial dealing between us and him. He was just connecting us to everybody, and he was connected to everybody. So, and I had an open conversation with him, and I said, listen, I mean, there's a lot of, things out there. Are you involved with any of this stuff? And he said, absolutely not. And that was enough for me. That was enough for us to be able to go through and take, and be affiliated with some of the connections that he had and all the promoters that he had to be able to build Badou in the region. But there was zero financial tie.
You're talking about the picture that I've seen resurface on Twitter quite a bit, where I think you're quoted as saying, proud to welcome our brother Daniel to the team to announce some historic moves. Am I right in saying that was obviously way before any sanctions or anything was put out?
Come on, man. Absolutely, it was before all of that stuff. I don't shy away from these questions because I defended him. I defended him based on what he had said to me, that he had no affiliation with anything that was there. And that was enough for me to believe a guy that said that. And he was, I'm telling you, everybody that has dealt with him has said nothing but great things about what he's helped him with. It's not until somebody does something to me personally that I can actually take that stance and say that. So I asked the source. The source said absolutely not. He had dealt with everybody. He was dealing with everybody. I'm not going to name names of who he dealt with, but everybody that was been involved with the guy. After those sanctions happened, I believe everybody also left, as I did. And listen, we wish everybody the best, and he's got to deal with what he's got to deal with. And if there's any truth with it, the truth always comes out, and that's what's going to end up happening. So, but to say that we're tied to him still, and to say that there's any connections, that is absolute lies. We have zero connection to him. I've had zero interaction with him since the sanctions have come out, as anybody that I've dealt with. And Prince Khalid is adamant about making sure that nothing like that is involved with skill challenge promotions.
How are reputable, print articles like Boxing News able to post stuff like this? And obviously the Sunday World, I think they put something out as well.
Yeah, I don't know, but I will tell you that I am initiating any kind of legal action towards that to make sure that if there's any kind of defamation that we address all of that, because it is absolutely defamatory to say that. It's baseless. There is absolutely zero ties, zero. To say insiders are, I mean, you're really taking a very big accusation. Nobody in our organization, I say confidently, and I can't speak on behalf of Prince Khalid, but I will say I am confident to speak on behalf of Prince Khalid and the entire Skill Challenge organization, as zero ties to him in any way, shape, or form.
And I just want to get, you touched on it there, that you said he was a great person to deal with, just on a personality level. I've heard that a lot from boxers who have obviously been managed by, MTK, etc. in the past when he was involved. Just out of curiosity, are you able to tell us what he's like as a person? Because some fans out there might be curious, away from what we read in the papers, what were your first-hand dealings, with him as a person?
What's crazy is the boxing rule will go, and you can be as open and honest, and everybody always spins it a different way. Go ask the fighters that were represented by him. We were never represented by him. Even the one fight that Badou fought on a Probellum card, I made sure that Badou was not signed to Probellum. It was a co-promotion with Badou Jack Promotions. We were never under the banner of Probellum. It was a co-promotion that Badou had one fight there, and that was the extent of it. But ask the fighters, ask them themselves, all the fighters that were under him. I'm not going to disclose, my personal relationship with him, because it was a handful of times that I met with him. And every single one of those handful of times, he was nothing but genuine, respectful, and he did everything that he said he was going to do. The fact that he's faced these kinds of sanctions, that's between him, the laws, the legal powers to be. And if he has any affiliation with it, then, he's got to own up to that, and he's going to have to end up facing those consequences. But there was nothing that he ever did that indicated that he was a part of anything like that whatsoever. And if he did, we would have never been involved with him at all. Everybody in boxing had dealt with this guy. And for people to come out and say, oh, we never did, or the majority of people in boxing were, come on, man. Everybody now is going their own direction, and he's dealing with what he's got to deal with. And that's just going to end up being it. But to say that he's affiliated with us, me, Badou, Skill Challenge, anybody that we even deal with, is absolutely baseless. No fighter that Skill Challenge Promotions deal with, no promoter, no manager can have any relations. And we make sure that that's very clear and it's straightforward in that part.
I just wanted to clarify that about him as a person, because like you said there, I've spoken to a lot of boxers, and I'll be honest, I've never heard anyone say anything negative other than what you kind of reiterated there, that he's just been a helping hand. Obviously, whatever the situation is outside with the US, etc., that's between him, and then obviously we'll see what the conclusion of that is. And there's one other thing I want to ask you. Again, this is stuff that's been flying about on Twitter. Some mention of a lawyer or someone that suggesting that you worked for Probellum and MTK, and then now he's also working for Skill Challenge. I don't know if you can clarify any of that.
Come on, man. Absolutely not. The attorneys that we have are our guys. They're exclusive to us. They work with us and nobody else. There was mention that there was a Skill Challenge London entity that was open. Let me be very clear about this. The only Skill Challenge Promotions office and entity that runs under the direction of Prince Khalid bin Abdulaziz is based in Riyadh, Saudi Arabia. That's all that we have. So anything else that's open, look, I can go open a boxing king media in the US if I want. That doesn't mean it's you, right?
There is a Boxing Kingdom Twitter account, which people seem to think it's those, but it's not.
Okay. So I'll tell you that Skill Challenge Promotions is based out of Riyadh, Kingdom of Saudi Arabia, period. And
I've been to the offices. They back up what you're saying. I mean, yeah, I think that's it, really. I think you've kind of covered everything, and thank you for being open and honest and letting me ask you these questions, because a lot of fans out there want these answering, and it's
as they should. Look, your job as a journalist, every boxing, as long as they don't have an agenda, right? And that's the difference. As long as you really want the answer, you're not trying to spin a story for how you want. There should be zero reprehension. There should be zero defensiveness on my part to be able to answer these. In the position that I am, in the position that Skill Challenge is in, is we should be open to all kinds of scrutiny, all kinds of questioning, all kinds of interest of the fans. And everything is on the table. Look, boxing is boxing. If you look back at everybody in boxing, not everybody has the best history. We all made mistakes. We've all gone through certain things in our lives. Everybody has their ups and their downs. And look, who you are today and what you're facing today is the most important thing. Who you are as a person, and being able to ask those kinds of questions. It's fair. I'm not defensive of anything. I've never once told anybody, don't ask me this, don't ask me that. And I told you in the very beginning, everything is on the table because there's nothing to hide. Prince Khalid bin Abdulaziz is adamant about doing everything with the highest level of integrity, the cleanest way, and making sure that everybody's rights have been fulfilled. The worst thing that you can ever do to a guy like Prince Khalid is to be able to say that you promised me something and didn't deliver. You did something unhonorably or dishonorably. Because he has the highest level of dignity, the highest level of integrity. He is the highest character of a person that I've come, to the fortune of meeting. And that's why I've jumped into this thing with both hands, both feet, all in, because of the kind of person that he is and the honor that he has. So for me, it's personal to me when you start saying, oh, he's tied to this and he's tied to that. Come on, man. It's just not fair. It's not fair. It's not right. And it's just an utmost blatant lie.
Well, on that note, Amer Abdallah, it's been a pleasure, and hopefully we'll see you at the next potential signing.
Thank you, man. Keep it positive moving forward. There's a lot of great things happening, and that's what we're building off of.
Thank you.